Vitra Chair Museum in Weil am Rhein in 1989 was Frank Gehry's first construction project in Europe. A spectacular introduction, almost a crescendo of drums. Gehry's bizarre interplay with concrete and stainless steel helped to mix up the categories. Is it architecture or pop art? Arts like the sculpture from Claes Oldenburg? It's a question that many ask themselves. Inside the building, the new rooms and the atmosphere created by the lighting causes amazement. Gehry's museum has a link to the Goethe Annum building from Rudolf Steiner, which lies just a few kilometers away. It was built in 1928 and was the first concrete construction in modern history. It's a construction sculpture much appreciated by Frank Gehry. Much the same as the Pilgrimage Chapel from Le Corbusier in Ronchamp, dating back to 1955. A wonderful mixture of flying machine and cave, exuberance and aesthetic. Frank Gehry considers the Le Corbusier church sculpture one of the most important buildings of modern times. The Energy Forum Innovation in Bad Oeynhausen landed like an architectural unidentified flying object in 1995. This was Gehry's second architectural work in Germany. Frank Gehry showed a great deal of humor at the topping off ceremony.
I promise you, you will never see a structure that looks like this ever again anywhere. I promise you that Prince Charles will not like it. The question is, our children, your children, and your grandchildren, what will they think of you, and you, and you, and me, someday for letting this madman create this thing in your city?
The Energy Forum Innovation is a construction along the lines of the ecological modern school of architecture. The white ecological high-tech temple has the very latest state-of-the-art solar, air conditioning and energy creation technology. This was the qualified aim of Frank Gehry and his customer, the former EMR Energy Company, which is now part of the E.ON concern. Wood, coconut, plaster, metal and glass. These were the 5 materials combined with natural light that Gehry used for the rooms.
I'm very serious about what I do. I mean, I go crazy if it's not exactly right. I'm a control freak. But I want the work to look friendly and easy and not to push you against the wall and say, "Grrr." I don't want that. So in the end, when I make a building and you see it, it looks kind of casual, and that's misunderstood as accidental. Casual, accidental. He threw it in the air, it landed. He was lucky. But I couldn't be lucky all those times, you know?
The Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao is the consequent development of the Energy Forum innovation idea. The museum represents the ultimate construction sculpture, a shimmering hill. The building is a mixture of flowing and static movements at the same time. Words simply fail when confronted with the new breathtaking perspectives. Once again, Frank Gehry has sounded out the limits of chaos and order and created a fragile, dynamic harmony between these two poles. A model of the Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, a building that was realized due to the huge success of the Bilbao project. Frank Gehry often makes dozens of models until he finds the final form. This design work is a dynamic process. Frank Gehry is supported by computers and over 100 members of staff in Los Angeles. Here, new models are being created and then measured by a computer. A 3-dimensional model is turned into the construction plans. The computer helps the handwork specialists to produce the fantastic shapes in an individual, tailor-made way. The interior of the concert hall, and the final work shown in quick motion. The hall was opened in 2003. It now makes up a new center of Los Angeles. But now a quick move back over the Atlantic. It was here that the Geary Tower was completed in 2001. Built on a small corner plot of land, the 8-story building belonging to the Uster Company appears to screw its way up into the sky.
Well, it's a very small site, and you could hang architecture on it, you could do all kinds of things, but it all seemed trivial. And I was looking for one gesture that gave the building presence from the square. And I started to play with it, and it was a very economical move. It magically worked, I don't know. You know, if you twist the building, each floor is still the same. So there's no difference. So you just keep repeating it. You just tuk, 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 tuk. And the skin is simple to do. I think it was, I really liked that building.
It was terrible for us back then when you thought about turning this cube and the whole thing tilted some 2.5 meters over the street. And finally pressed the whole thing together, and this form was created. No one can really imagine how difficult it was, as far as conception and planning was concerned, to bring these moments together. The tower shows no signs of the construction effort involved. It's elegant and unimpressed by the activity in the area around the railway station. It stands in place like a shimmering cube. The interior design is typically Gehry, warm colors of wood which create a relaxed working atmosphere. Special room situations also add to the overall effect. A further Geary project in the region is the parent-child accommodation in the heart surgery clinic in Bad Oeynhausen. It's a lively, rather playful work. It's a yes-to-life piece of architecture, creating hope for children and parents in a borderline situation. Unmistakable Gehry. Bricks in Herford also lie in a curve. The Marta Museum is Geary's 4th project in the region. This time he also worked with normal building materials.
The reason to use brick here was that the public buildings in Herford are brick and the private buildings are plaster, and so this is a public building, and so I thought that was the pattern of the city already.
What bothers many people perhaps is that brick appears to be massive, something monumental. Here everything is changed, firstly by means of the sculpture, the art of the form. Brick isn't worked that way. And then I see the second level with its shimmering stainless steel areas with the dancing objects. It's unconventional and unusual that brick, which is considered to be massive and something monumental in our region, can be made to dance. And inside, the Museum for Art and Design surprises visitors with its rooms for displaying art. This almost demands that artworks should also be presented in an unconventional and fresh way. Once again, 76-year-old Frank Gehry has managed to create another new individual construction sculpture, this time for Herford. Well, the first impression is fantastic, and all this talk about Gehry having repeated, etc., is grotesque. Because I find it's a new creation every time. This comes from the fact that one has to find something adventurous after the Bilbao success. It's not right. It is once again an absolutely new creation within Gehry's work.